Oh, it's been a few days since I've been down here working on this thing. I really gotta get cracking. So let's see. Maybe I'll put the compound back together. All right. So the first step, I figure, to put this cross slide part on is to put these three little brass pins. They're actually they got a small diameter on one side and a large on the other, and I believe these go in with the large diameter facing towards the screw, because that small diameter is going to engage these small holes on this jib. So, oh, missed a step. I need to loosen these lock nuts and back out these screws. Alright, so I backed out the screws so that those three little pins are recessed in the holes. And now I'm going to, let's see if I can clean that up a little better. Ooh, see, that's the problem when I don't work on this for a few days. I forget what the heck went where. It's also why it's great that I take the video, so I can go back and look at my own video notes to see how this came apart. This is obviously too long, so that's the jib for the compound by the looks of it. And so this is the one that goes here, and this one does not have little holes on it like this one, which makes me think now that those pins don't go on here. Well, I was going to go look at my video notes that I shot and realized that these pins, actually the large diameter of these pins don't fit in those holes on this part of the compound, so that can't be. So these do go in here, as I suspected. Question is, do they go in with the wide part facing the screws or the small diameter facing the screws? And if I use the jib here as a guide, it seems like the large end of these does not fit in those holes. So I had it right the first time. As far as the jib itself goes, it's obvious that because of the indentations there, this side has to face that way. And if I put it that way, then I get the bevel on the wrong side, so this must go like this. And actually, I can actually feel it fits on those little pins, or fits in there almost perfectly. I just hold it with my finger, hold the jib in place with my finger from underneath, slide it on until it engages the screw, and then I'm going to slide it about halfway. That's about halfway right there. And now I'm going to adjust those jib screws. Okay, so I snugged them up here at the halfway point, and I just ran it all the way down this way, and it still stayed snug. I ran it all the way down this way, and it gets a little tight down here at the end, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised at that, because at this point, if I'm that far over, thinking I'm not going to be that far over unless like I've got a boring bar on there or something, maybe. I'm not sure, but I like that right there, so I'm gonna tighten down the lock nuts. Boy, life would be a lot easier if this handle wasn't broken. And I can see what's going to be the big problem in replacing this handle, and why he had the hand crank on there. The reason why he wanted to retain the broken part of the handle is because this handle, actually, this whole part of the handle right here is actually where your graduations are right here. So instead of these numbers being on a separate collar and being part of this, it's on here. So that's why I'm having such a hard time finding a replacement for this handle. And I only found one so far online, but unfortunately the seller is selling it with the whole shaft here, and I believe he wants $70 for it. So, if you needed the shaft, that's not unreasonable, but I don't need the whole shaft. It's interesting to me how much play there is here. 30. Let me get it this way. Go to 0 and come back. This is all free play. 52 thousandths. Yeah, 52 thousandths. That's a lot, isn't it? Now I'm going to move these two studs into position to put the bottom half of the compound in position. You know, I just slid this on here and I had totally forgotten about the fact that I was noticing how this was binding. So I think what I want to do is I want to see if I can get these. Yeah, see, I should have taken these out before I put this on, to see if I could see if the heads have any burrs on them that I could take off. You know, it's not the heads of the screws. I don't think. I think it's actually the groove in there, and I don't know if there's much I can do about that. Well, I did. I just brushed some oil on here and into the slot there, because unlike these areas here where I can definitely see that it's easy enough to oil those, once that compound's on, I'm not quite sure how oil's supposed to get down in here when you're lubricating this. In other words, I don't see any holes on this part right here that are going to allow you to get oil down into there. Well, that didn't do much to make that move very easily. So what I'm going to do is, there's the line right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to 29 degrees. I think is where you would want it for threading. Kind of hard to see it, but that's 10, that's 20. That must be 30 over there. Boy, that really sticks. Well, I put the nuts on and I snugged it up just a little bit, and what that does is that brings those little T-bolts up into the slot a little higher, and so that when you're twisting it, it doesn't want, the bolt's not going to want to cock in the groove, and that fixed a lot of that problem. There's still, obviously, see, it's sticking right there, so it doesn't want to come back this way now. But I'm going to go right over to 29 degrees and snug it up right there. I guess the other dead giveaway that this is the proper jib for this, besides the length, is the fact that there's a little bit of blue paint on here and on there. I don't know what that's from. And once again, putting this jib in, pretty straightforward. You know that the indentations on the back have to face the set screws, and I know that if I put it in wrong, the bevel will be the wrong way. So just hold that on like that and slide it on. Putting this one on is a little trickier because I can't slide it on from the back, because then it won't clear that nut. Oh yeah, it does. Well, not with the jib in, it doesn't. When I tried sliding it on from the front here, it doesn't want to go on. I think there's actually some damage to the dovetail right here. You can see there's a little bit of damage there. Oh, well, duh. Yeah, I took the jib out so I could slide it on this way, and then, yeah, there's no way for the nut to go. So this has to slide on from the back the way I had it, like that. And then I guess once I'm past the nut, then I can slide the jib in. Oh yeah, that's a lot easier. Slide the jib right in that way. Of course, the blue paint, maybe that's why the blue paint's on there. Maybe somebody wanted to mark it so they knew exactly which way this went back in. Got to get my precision screwdriver. Oh, here it is, from where I took it out. I have this on wrong. How do I know I have this on wrong? Because look at how offset that is in that hole. And the reason why it's offset is because the jib is in there, which means this, oops, this by design should be spun around, but of course the handle goes on this side. So by definition, I have this on 180 degrees backwards. Alright, so just loosen my nuts and spin this right around if it wants to spin. Doesn't want to really spin. I think it's just going to be easier to take these nuts off and flip the thing over. Okay, so now the nut is up facing this way, which I guess makes more sense that you would want the nut closer to the handle. And this again, because that doesn't have a notch, so this has to go on this way. Now it's centered in the hole where it should be, and I should be able to slide the jib right in. Let's see. Holes are going to face the set screws, and it's got to go in this way. There we go. Like so. Bring that up flush, and adjust my set screws. Alright, these are a little trickier to adjust. I got to have to play around with them to make sure I had them in to the little indentations on the back of the jib. Once I knew that they were in there by not being able to actually move the jib. See, if I try and slide the jib out now, it won't slide because the set screws are engaging those indentations on the back of it. So now I want to take up the play. So if I don't know if you can see this, but you can hear it clicking because I'm wiggling it back and forth. So I'm just going to adjust that to take that play out. And then I'm going to do the same on the other end, and then just snug the other one until I feel it touch off. Now these little set screws, there's no locking. There's no way to lock those. So I don't know whether or not those should have Loctite put on the threads before they're inserted or not. But maybe somebody who has experience with these Atlas lathes could advise me on that. Okay, and again, because of the uneven wear characteristics, I've actually got it adjusted so it feels pretty good right here. Feels nice and snug. If I get all the way down to this end, where a lot of the compound is hanging off of the base part there, I've got a significant amount of play. But don't forget that I've got my tool post. At that point, my tool post is way out here, so I should expect to be doing most of my work back here in this area. So this is where I've adjusted it for. Oh, looks like I forgot to clean this. Ah, look under the dirt. More of that blue paint. And this has got a little indicator right here, so I know that's the top. So I should be able to just thread this in and then put these two screws in. Now you definitely want to make sure this hole right here is clear, because this is the hole where you oil that lead screw. Oh, camera battery's dying. So actually I was going to quit for lunch anyways. Ooh! Why can't I turn this? Oh, something's wrong. Oh, what happened was I slid the compound back and then tightened these screws, so I had to actually, it was bound at the very end there. So now, give it a little bit of an extra twist and it broke free. So now I got this is moving to my liking. Okay. Alright, had my lunch and I'm back at it, and charge the battery some, see how long it lasts. But what I was in the middle of doing was I was getting ready to check out the play in this screw. It's kind of hard to see the numbers on this one. The numbers are actually kind of on the they're here. So not the greatest design, but it looks like, if I'm reading that correctly, looks like about 13 thousandths of free play in that one. But it is turning pretty decently. Feels good.